How confident are you that this will declog case dockets and the IPO?
Actually, in IPO, it's not more the declogging of the dockets because
not.
there are not really many. And our hearing officers are doing very well with the cases. It's really more the speed. It's it can be settled in just one setting depending on the cooperation of the parties.
Oh,
Yes, and
that fast.
it's cheap because once settled, then the compromise agreement is done, signed by the parties, then given back to the originating office, BLA, ODG, or the ATTB, and then the decision will be, if there are no problems with it, then the decision will be made on the basis of the compromise agreement. It's cheap because, with one session, two-hour sessions, if it's done, then it will only be 8,000 pesos.
So is there a per session? I mean, aside from the payment to the lawyer, of course, there's a payment to
They
them?
come to the mediation office. They will be issued a statement of account where the one party will pay 4,000 pesos, and the 4,000 pesos will entitle them to 2 sessions, a 2-hour session per session. So, bali 4 hours for the 4,000.
For the 4,000 per party?
Yes, per party.
Per party,
Yes.
okay.
But if they want extension yet, because they think that there are still many small details that need to be tackled, then they will just have to add additional few thousands.
Okay, after the mediation is terminated, are there chances that the compromise agreement or the decision will be appealed?
No more. It's non-appealable. In fact, when the mediator talks to them and they sign the compromise agreement, granting that everything is okay and no question, with the legalities, then immediately, it's I think a few days after the compromise agreement is submitted,
Yes,
the decision will be handed down. Then they will receive it.
Okay, Ms. Vilmi, why don't you invite our televiewers, especially our businessmen who have pending cases in the IPO, to encourage them to use mediation as an alternative to litigation? This camera, please.
I would like to personally invite our IP owners who have cases filed before the intellectual property to experience mediation at our office. It will begin on January 31 to February 28 for the settlement month. But after that, it will continue on, meaning it will go full blast after February 28.
February 28
Yeah.
onwards.
I can assure you, you will really get the satisfaction of a case that is settled, properly discussed with the help of a very skillful mediator. So, in fact, we plan to hold a forum for IP owners also, so that they will have a deeper understanding of what mediation really is and how they can enjoy the benefit being offered by Intellectual Property Philippines.
All right, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Ms. Vilmi. And I do encourage everyone out there who have cases pending in the Intellectual Property Office to have confidence in this alternative mode to litigation, to make use of mediation in order to gain satisfactory solutions to your legal problems within the IPO. Now, we'd like to thank the Intellectual Property Office and the World Intellectual Property Organization for bringing this show to you. Join us. We'll be right back for patents. Thank you for your part. evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Intellectual Property, and you're still with me, Attorney Sara Jane Suguitan. This second half of our show, we are going to dedicate it to patents. We have here on the program one of the intellectual property policy analysts of the IPO. He's an agricultural engineer, and he's also a musician. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the set, Engineer Ray Abraham Negre. Hi, Ray.
Hello.
Hi, good evening. I didn't know you're an agricultural engineer. How many of you are in the country?
Well, we are quite, not a few, because when I took up the course in 1983, we were 2,500.
2,500.
So that was 20 years ago, so hopefully we are already
More.
increasing more.
There
Actually, it's a
are more.
special field under the mechanical field, so it specializes in agriculture, farm machineries, farm management.
Are there many universities that offer agricultural
Yeah,
engineering?
there are a lot of state universities aside from UP Los Baños, which it's my alma mater now.
Where you
Then in Mindanao, all over the Philippines, we have the state universities offering the courses in agricultural engineering.
Engineer Ray, I also heard you're a musician. And how often do you play your music?
No, I have a band. I am a guitar player. I also play classical
sing?
guitar every
yeah.
weekends.
Okay, so how did you land a consultation job with the intellectual property
I was a
office?
former patent examiner at the IPO for about 20 years.
For 20 years.
Yeah, then I left the IPO, but now I'm back as a patent consultant with the IPO. Basically, we are amending the rules, implementing rules and regulations for patents at this moment. So I am spearheading the project for the amendments.
For the amendments.
Yes.
You have a science background, and at the same time you're working towards improving the law. How have you felt working with the IPO for such a long time now?
Yeah, I have
Is it
so
fulfilling?
we have lawyers in the IPO, of course, skilled lawyers in the IPO also. So I work with them, especially in crafting the rules. Of course,
Buti hindi po kayo nag-abogado.
I took up law.
You took up
but,
law.
you know, it's not for me.
You
I
chose to
had
drop
3
it.
years of law,
3 years
critical
of
education.
Yeah, you have
and,
legal background,
so
definitely.
it helped me a lot, especially in patent examination. When you examine patent applications, it's not the technical side, but it's also it has a legal side with it. So it's an ex parte prosecution. So
I
it's
see.
like
Engineer Ray, can you tell our televiewers tonight what are patents and how do you go about obtaining a patent with the IPO?
Well, a patent is a grant given by the government to an inventor for his invention for the exclusive use or sale of his invention for a specific period of time. No? In exchange of the disclosure of the invention.
So how long does the term of protection
Yeah, for example, we have a patent. So the IP code, the Intellectual Property Code, offers protection for patents, for utility models and industrial designs.
Three
For
kinds.
for patents, for three kinds of categories, no. So for patents, we have 20-year protection from the filing date. So the inventor has 20 years to exclusively use or sell his product within the Philippines. But
Kasi
after
it's
20
territorial. It's
yes,
territorial.
territorial in the Philippines. After 20 years, the technology is already for the public.
To
So
copy.
that's the purpose of the patent system. The government will give you enough time to compensate for your expenses and everything. But at the same time, you're helping the technological progress of the country by
disclosing
and
that
allowing them to
invention.
use your invention after the patent term.
After the patent expires, it's free for
It's
the
free,
public
yes,
to
yes,
copy, duplicate,
Yes.
sell,
We have to improve the
market.
invention,
Improve and
invention,
improve.
everything.
I see.
So there's growth in technology with the patent system.
So that's the public policy behind
Yeah.
the short term of patents.
Yeah, actually, yes.
For the short term of patents. Kasi unlike in copyright, the intellectual property stays with the author or the musician, in that case, during his or her lifetime, diba? And 50 years after death.
Yeah, not for patents.
But not for patents. It's
Because
really limited.
technology is really fast. It really changes fast. Technology, no. The growth of technology is very fast. So I think that's one of the reasons for that period of time, no. Actually, for patents, it's 20 years. For utility models, it's only 7 years.
What are utility models?
Well, a patent is patent should when you apply for a patent, the invention must be new, must have inventive step, and must be industry applicable to have a patent.
Yung mga invention.
Yeah.
So,
For utility models, must be only must be new. It must be only new. It does not give the inventive step aspect.
okay.
So we call them petty patents. These are the small implements. Small,
example?
for example,
Yung Regis coffee cup.
Yeah,
Is that,
So for example, in agriculture, the agricultural field, small implements, farm implements that are new, but they're not inventive anymore. I mean, there's a new purpose, but it's not inventive
Now,
anymore.
who determines whether or not a device has an inventive step or not?
Well, the patent examiner there.
The examiner.
So the patent examiner is well trained, to determine if the device is novel and if it's inventive, based on prior art, of course.
Prior
Yes,
art,
prior.
existing art
Prior.
already in the database. Most of our patent examiners in the Intellectual Property Office have science backgrounds. Is that correct?
It's a requirement.
It's a requirement to become a patent examiner.
There's the because we have a lot of fields, no? We have the mechanical field, no, for patents. We have the electrical field, the computer-related fields, no, the chemical field, the pharmaceuticals and everything. So the patent examiner is specialized. For example, when I was a patent examiner, I examined agricultural
Strictly agricultural
machineries and
inventions.
small mechanical devices, because it's my
Expertise. So what are the others? Mechanical.
mechanical, so electrical,
Yeah,
electronics. We have the computer-related inventions,
Computers,
and everything.
Ayan,
So in the chemical field, we have the pharmaceuticals,
drugs, for example.
drugs, and we have this organic chemistry, no,
Right.
and industrial chemistry.
In your term as a patent examiner, what are the most wacky inventions that you have had to examine as a patent
It's
examiner?
not actually wacky, but
Not wacky.
I really had the pleasure of meeting these inventors. They're very creative,
They're very creative.
Yeah, Filipino inventors are creative. No, we only need to encourage them more and more. And before, years ago, they did not trust the patent office, because
They did
maybe,
not?
no, maybe before. But now I'm telling them that with the new system, no, because inventors are afraid that their inventions will be stolen, no.
Yes,
But in the Philippines, in our case, they are well protected, especially during the filing period, no. There's the confidentiality period, so they're well protected there.
I find it ironic now when you file, for example, I invented something and I file an application for patent, I have to fill out details, diba? I have to make a statement of claims, more or less detailed about my invention. And you were saying that inventors are usually paranoid about,
That's so. It's it's an intellectual property, so it's their life. It's
their
in their
life.
life. So
that's why it's understandable that they don't want to release information
so
so much.
actually, I encourage them to in filing a patent, you really have to fully disclose your patent, to be protected, of course.
But are scientists or at least inventors trained in making
It's different
these
today.
claims?
Yeah.
Is it easy to fill out if I'm a scientist? Is it easy
we,
to
we,
fill
we are always having these lectures. The IPO is always reaching out to inventors through lectures, to seminars, in not only the basics of patents, but in crafting claims, in preparing patent applications. So all the more the inventors are given this opportunity to be educated on how to prepare claims.
Okay, how much does it cost to apply for a patent registration, and how long does that take before
The
registration?
filing fees, the government fees.
Government fees.
Well, I think it's about, for the big entity, it's about 360,600 pesos for the filing fee.
3,600. So it's
Then
manageable. I mean,
manageable, of course.
even if I'm a starving scientist, I can file for a patent application.
Yeah, for the filing fee.
And hindi masyadong masakit. kasi
Hindi
it's
naman,
manageable.
kasi hindi masakit. Kasi ang filing fees natin plus yung additional fees for 5,000 for a patent. That's
Maximum.
Yeah, that's very cheap
Yes.
compared to other countries, of course.
How much does it take in other countries?
Well, it's more than that.
Definitely more than that.
Because I had this opportunity to work with a law firm before, so I know the rates of other countries.
It's
So,
much more expensive.
it's much more expensive.
Okay, Attorney Ray, in your
I'm-
engineer Ray Negre, yes. How do you? I mean, personally, how do you mix your being an engineer with your being an artist?